Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today I'm going to be sharing with you a 4-4-2 tactic guide and showing you the best custom tactics and instructions for the 4-4-2. And obviously we're getting towards the end of the game cycle and it's going to be a little bit tricky to make videos now. So we're probably going to be doing a few less videos, kind of just waiting for obviously FIFA 23 to come out. But we are going to have some different type of videos coming out over the summers. Hopefully you guys will enjoy those videos as well. But today I'm going to be sharing with you my 4-4-2 custom tactics. Now the 4-4-2 in my opinion is one of the best formations in the game. I think it's a really easy formation to use, but it's a really hard formation to play against. Whenever I come up against this formation, I do struggle, and it's also a very good formation for pressing in. So when it comes to the custom tactics and instructions, here are the tactics when I use this 4-4-2 formation. So I've gone balanced on the defensive style, but you can play a press in this formation. It is a super effective formation to use a press in. I would personally recommend using just pressure on heavy touch. Pressure on possession loss can work very, very well, but it is going to leave you with some gaps exposed, especially if your opponent can play out of that press. It is going to make it quite easy for your opponent to play against you. So if you're someone who just doesn't mind and wants to press a little bit higher at the pitch, then go for the press on possession loss, or you go for the pressure on heavy touch. I like balance because I'm not very good at using a press. It's probably one of the areas that I am weakest as a player, is pressing effectively and using second man press and stuff like that. So generally when I do it, I cause myself more issues than I do actually do good. So I recommend using balanced if you are someone like me, and if not, then you can definitely use a press. This is a super good formation to use it. Of course, then that will affect your depth. So if you're someone who wants to use a press, the higher up the depth you use, the more effective it will be, because you're going to be in your opponent's faces a lot quicker, so the press will be more effective. Or if you are going to be like me and use balanced, I'd recommend just using something like 55. I think that's a good depth to use. In terms of the build-up play, I recommend again just using balanced. I think the instructions are something we want to really use to dictate this formation, and I just don't think any of the others are super effective. Fast build-up I don't think really works for this formation. Not having the DMs or cams to link, just I feel like it doesn't make it as successful. Long ball can work if you've obviously got pacey strikers, which everybody's going to have at this time of the year. So long ball can be very, very effective. I just find that for me, balance just works very, very well, and that's why I want to use the direct passing, because I only want the strikers and sort of the wingers to be making those runs in behind, and really I want you the instructions to dictate how this formation plays. So we're going to use direct passing, obviously great for players that have got super high pace and players that have got good passing as well. And then in terms of the width, we've actually gone the other way. We've gone a little bit narrower. We've gone down to about 45 for the width, and that's because the left and right mids, as we've mentioned before, can be quite difficult to get involved. Obviously, it's harder to get them involved in the attacking capacity, so you need to get them involved more in the build-up. But I've gone 45 as well, because mainly if you're someone who wants to play a press, you probably want to play a slightly narrower width, because it does expose the midfield a lot more. So we've gone for balance, and just it gives us a bit more of that compact feeling in midfield. And midfield, it's more important to have a strong and solid midfield than it is to have sort of the width out wide. So I've gone for 45. It just does everything that it says on the tin as well. It just really gets those left and right mids tucked in a little bit more, but also a little bit more involved in the build-up play rather than kind of just being a passenger. And then players in the box, corners and free kicks, that's kind of all customizable to basically to how you want to play. So when it comes to the instructions, of course, Alisson in goal wants to be on comes, crosses and sweep keeper. And of course, the whole defence, as per usual, especially the wing backs, they all want to be on stay back while attacking and overlap. Again, with the quality of opposition that are kind of left playing the game, and also the quality of player you're coming up against, and the actual individual players, as in Cancelo coming up against Neymar's or Vinicius's or whoever, you're coming up against top quality players as well. So really you can't afford to have them going forwards in this type of a formation. In a 3-back, it's a little bit different because you tell the wing backs to come back on defense. In this position, we're not going to tell the wide players to come back on defense. I just think you don't need it, and I'd rather have the left and right mids being a bit more involved in the attacking play, because you have the fullbacks back anyway, so you don't need them going forward. So going back to what we said in the previous video, you want the wide players on free roam, you want them getting behind, and you want them getting to the box for crosses. Getting to the box for crosses, so when you do dominate the game a little bit more, naturally your wide players are going to have a higher starting position, so that it'll be more effective to get into the box if you're someone who dominates possession and dominates the game a little bit more. Free roam is just so it allows them to drift in that final third, so it can get them off the wing and that's one of the big things. A lot of the time the left and right mids get stuck out there, and having them on free roam can drift them inside, which then can obviously provide more chance creation opportunities, and of course getting behind, because you want those left and right mids stretching and providing width, especially for the two strikers, because you want those guys to mainly stay in the box in between the sticks. And in terms of the two midfielders, there's a couple ways that you can obviously play the midfielders. If you're someone who wants to play a little bit more on the front foot and wants to play a little bit more aggressive, then I'd recommend just leaving them on balance completely, just everything on balanced, and just changing the defensive position to cover center. If you're somebody who wants to be a little bit more conservative, then you can have the two midfielders on stay back while attacking, and also make sure you've got them on stay on edge of the box for cross. So it kind of depends if you want to be a bit more conservative. Me personally, given the time of the year as well, I want to just be a little bit more attacking. So I would probably just recommend keeping everything on balance. And if you're going to have that, players like Vieira and Verratti are not the ideal players. You want proper box-to-box midfielders. So someone like a Tchouaméni or a Fofana or someone like that. Obviously, Tonali is going to be released. So those sorts of players, De Bruyne, they're the sorts of players that you want in these positions, because you just want those balanced box-to-box mids, because they obviously get in positions to score, create chances, but also you need them back because they're going to defend a little bit as well. And then, of course, when it comes to the two strikers, we've got Eusebio and Ben Yedder up top. Both these guys we're going to obviously have on stay central, because the left and right mids, Son and Messi, are going to provide the width. So you can afford the strikers, as we said before, they need to stay in between the sticks. Getting behind, of course, if you've got, everybody's going to have super fast players nowadays, so that makes sense. The only other thing you could do is you could leave the two strikers on stay forward if you prefer. But that's more if you're someone who likes to play counter-attack. If you're someone who likes to play a lot of counter-attacking FIFA, and also if you're someone who wants to play on the press, then using sort of these guys on stay forward, you could also use players like Messi and Son, the wide players, to be on stay forward as well. So you kind of have almost that sort of 4-2-4 split. So you'd have Vieira and Verratti sitting, and then you'd have the rest of the guys on stay forwards, and that's going to make a press a lot more effective. But it's also going to make counter-attacking a lot more effective as well. Me personally, I wouldn't recommend that. I think you have to be quite a good player and a high-skilled player to do that. If you're someone who's sort of not a great and not a high-skilled player, I'd recommend just playing it like this. Just have the stay central and the getting behind, and just don't complicate it. And that's one of the things with this formation. You can overcomplicate this formation, and especially if you're someone who is a beginner, if you're someone who's quite a low-skilled player, you don't want to complicate formations and tactics. You want to try and keep them as simple as possible, and that's what we've done with this 4-4-2. We've just made it simple and easy to follow, and try to not make it too complicated, because that's when you can start making mistakes. But that is it for today's video, guys. So if you did enjoy it, do drop a thumbs up. If you do have any ideas for any content you'd like to see over the summer, we do have some things that we're going to be making, a few compilation videos, some FIFA 23 stuff. But if you do have any ideas for some videos that you'd like to see over the content over the course of the summer, then do let me know down in the comment section, and we'll get around to seeing those as well. Make sure you drop a thumbs up, and make sure you do subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day,